So this session is all about when you join the course, like what we will be teaching, like what are the topics that will be covered, and what are the hands-on experience that you get when you try to learn the Azure DevOps and all. So here I say it's not only the Azure DevOps, it's a combination of Azure administration as well as Azure DevOps. Okay, why? Because if you don't know the certain services that you need to manage when you're trying to deploy some applications, or when you're trying to write some pipelines in Azure, it is hard to manage them. So instead of that, let us take some leverage and let us understand some particular services which are present in Azure DevOps, right? So that in that way we can learn DevOps as well as administration as well. So let me show you a few things. Just a second, I need to authenticate to this. Um, so this is how I secure my account. Like it gets an token that I need to give it, and then I need to authenticate to it. Okay. Yeah. So everybody can create this account actually. It's free of cost. It is not like AWS or Google Cloud, which you get for 3 months or 1 year, some particular free trial versions and all. Means like you don't get some credit for more than 1 month. Okay, the problem with Azure is you get a free account only for 1 month. After that, you need to upgrade your subscription. Okay, so we will talk about that later. But there are two portals here. That is what I just want to say. Okay, one is dev.azure.com and one is portal.azure.com. Okay, so this is for DevOps. Okay, if you click on this, you will see the DevOps options over there, like boards, repos, pipelines, test plans, and artifacts. And here you manage your compute services and other services over portal.azure.com. Okay, so just a normal introduction saying that we will be covering your Azure DevOps as well as Azure administration as well, which is a kind of AZ104 certification exam code and AZ400. So I'm certified on both AZ104 and AZ400. If you need any sort of help, okay, like understanding the concept in the exam level or all, and I will give you the links what you have to practice. If you are interested in writing the exam, I can give you some suggestions, tips, and some links to practice the exam and all. You cannot get as it is. The answers might be here and there. Means the word. Okay, you need to understand the concept. So you will understand the concept only when you have some good understanding on the service what you have worked on. Okay, that's the only challenge we will have. So that's the reason, create an account. I will tell you how to create an account. It's so simple, everybody can do it. Okay, so we will see how to create an account in Azure. So that will be available, that login will be available for dev.azure.com and portal.azure.com because of Active Directory. So coming to the normal flow, like just let us understand what is this DevOps cycle culture. Okay, how this Azure DevOps is providing your services to automate the process. That's the only challenge, right? See, DevOps in the sense, I no need to give a special introduction to DevOps, since everybody know what is DevOps in the sense you are trying to collaborate to multiple people like developers and operations engineers together using some tool to automate the process, which means that we don't want to have any gaps between them, saying that developer is saying that it's working on my mission, and operations engineers are testing that it is issue with your code, not with the platform. So to avoid these kind of challenges and other challenges as well, a DevOps culture came into picture. It's not a tool, it is just a culture name what they have given a DevOps. Okay, and now you might have heard the DevSecOps, which is like you are adding security to your what do you say, the project. When you're trying to implement something, a code level security or image level security or your platform related security or infrastructure related security, you are just adding some security tools. You are trying to use some tools and you are doing some security checks actually. Okay, so that is called as DevSecOps. Okay, we can cover that as well. It's not that challenging, but we will cover only a few tools that is important for us to validate the security of your images, packages, something like that, right? That's how. So here in the DevOps, we have certain flow, right? First, we will write the code. Generally, I don't want to use some beyond the technical terms. In general, anywhere when you try to work for a project, we will write the code. Okay, that code should be tested with the basic testing in the sense it should be validated. Means the syntaxes, the styling, and everything, whether you have written as per the standards or not. That validation should be done. After that validation is done, the code has to be built. After the build has been done, it should be pushed to the artifact. After it has been pushed, and then you need to deploy it. This is the general scenario which we will follow. Okay, so it doesn't need any super power technical terms actually. Okay, this is what we do in the real-time scenarios. Now, to do this, every developer or every operation engineer, they cannot do on their local systems, right? We have to find some common platform somewhere. I will be developing the code. When I push it to somewhere like a source code repository, that source code repository has to do something after that. Means I need to introduce something like a pipelines, which is called a CI/CD. We call it as CI/CD, right? Continuous integration and continuous deployment. We introduce those kind of tools like Jenkins. Till now, we know that Jenkins we are using what do we say, like AWS code pipeline or Azure pipelines, or we have Travis, Bamboo. So these are like some of open source or some are paid versions. The best open source CI/CD tool is Jenkins. That's where we are in the earlier stages. Now, every cloud is providing you a DevOps CI/CD pipeline, right? If you go to Azure, if you go to Google Cloud, if you go to AWS, everybody is providing you a DevOps culture for you. Okay, so that you no need to worry about creating the infrastructure or maintaining the infrastructure or providing the platform. The platform is provided by cloud, and you are utilizing the options according to your organization requirement, right? So this is the whole goal of why we are going for Azure DevOps. Now, what is CI/CD? Generally, you can divide this into two parts, right? Continuous integration and continuous deployment. Okay. So before that, we need to know the roles and responsibility of us. Okay. Working agreement, plan and implementation, tools to integrate. This is the normal thing which everybody will try to capture when you are going into a DevOps culture, right? So we need to know what are the roles and responsibilities. What is a working agreement? It's not in our plate actually. It's higher levels who will take care of it. And plan and implementation. Plan in the sense, let's say right now there is a client. He is saying that everything I'm running manually, and I want to automate this right now with DevOps. Now you need to plan in the sense you need to know what tools they are using, where they are running it, what version they are running, what are the commands they are using to run. Everything you need to gather this, and based on that you need to plan like what tools are suitable for me to integrate this into a CI/CD, right? So I have to plan and I have to implement. See, planning it's not a solution, right? I need to do a some POC kind of thing, and I need to give suggestions saying that this will happen if you try to do this, and this will happen when you try to do this. So we need to tell these kind of things, right? And then the implementation will happen. Okay, so this is how it goes. It's not direct plate like okay, yes, we can do and we will go and deploy. It's not like that. First we have to plan, do a POC, and then implement. Okay, and we need to know which tools we need to integrate. We need to find out a solution that if this platform is not providing you all the features what you're looking for, we need to see whether that tool supports third party integrations or not. Because if you look at Jenkins, right, if you look at your Jenkins provides a lot of third-party tools integration, right? That's how it is more popular than any other CI/CD tool we use. Why? Because but it is complex to write. Apart from except Groovy, it is easy to manage. But if you want to write a Groovy, we need to learn Groovy language, which is a bit near to Gradle. Okay, something like a Java kind of syntaxes and workflow which we need to follow. So which is hard for me. Okay, so let's say I want to learn a simple DevOps CI/CD pipelines that I can build. Okay, so we have GitLab actions, we have GitHub actions, GitLab CI pipelines. Okay, and there are so many other pipelines as well. Okay, but here what is this integration we will do? Okay, tools to integrate, that is what we have to see. Okay, this is just a plan before. Let's say you are trying to work for a project which they have never used a DevOps. These are the things which we need to take into consideration: roles and responsibilities, working agreement, plan and implementation, and tools to integrate. Okay, now after that, this is the normal flow that we use in DevOps. Okay, build, code, build, test, release, deploy, operate, monitor. That's how we go, right? First, we need to plan and develop the code. After that, build the code and test the code. Release the code once it is tested. If you feel that everything works fine, let's say today as a developer, I'm writing some code to create some functionality to the application. Okay, so when you write some particular code for application to add some functionality, first you need to write the code, you have to build the code, and you have to test the code. Before build also we do some testing which is called as syntax checks and all. Okay, means whether your code is written with the proper syntaxes or not. We do some validations, right? If you are using some Python, for example, a pylint, okay, we use pepate kind of validations, stylings and all. Okay, once you feel that this code is following the let's say in that itself we will detect the codes in errors in the code. Okay, saying that this is not following this particular syntaxes, you are following some particular module which is not useful. So this validations will be done. After that we will build the code. Okay, and then we test the code. Okay, so testing in the sense it comes under unit testing or any testing we use. Okay, so this is a normal CI. Sorry, Rajesh, you are asking something? No. Okay, done.
No, Sujay, no, Sujay.
Okay, no problem. Yeah. So now this part comes under CI, which means that continuous integration it is. Let's go in depth and let's understand what is this continuous integration. If you know these basics, right, it is easy for us to understand the DevOps culture, and wherever whatever DevOps tool you use, this is the same strategy we follow. Okay. First of all, when you write your code, and when you test it locally, which means that you will do some setup and you will test it, and you will, once you verify that okay, whatever the code I have written, all the syntaxes and everything are fine and functionality is also working fine, then I will push the code. So where you will push the code, everybody will follow some particular storing the code which is called as repos, right? So we generally use either GitHub Enterprise Edition for organizations. We don't use open source, right? It's a rare case which we use open source. Either we use GitHub, Bitbucket Enterprise, or GitLab, or our own setup or software as a service, or we use any other repository. So in that place, Azure is providing you a repository to store the code that is called as Azure Repos. So if you see here, parallelly, let us see that this is Azure Repos. Okay, so this is the repository where I'm storing some code. You can see here there is a Docker file, there is a index.html, there is a readme.md file, and then there is a Azure pipeline. Okay, so this is my code I'm storing here. Okay, which means that tomorrow whatever the code I have written, let's say the laptop has crashed which I'm working on. Okay, so I cannot record the data, right? It is not possible for me, for example. Then I can download the code once again on a new laptop or a new machine, and then I can start working on the code. Okay, so this is how it helps, right? Not only for this scenario, for automating the process also we need to store our code in certain location. That is called as version control system. Okay, version control system. Does anyone know like what are the types of version control systems we have? I'm saying that it is version control
Local
system.
version control system.
You mean local?
Local version control system, centralized version control system, and the distributed version control system, right?
Yes, but we don't have anything like local. Okay, we have distributed version control system and centralized version control system. Okay, local in the sense wherever you work, it is a local. We cannot call that as a local version control system. Okay, so we have a distributed version control system, and then we have centralized version control system. Okay, Robin, you're asking something?
No, no, no.
Yeah. Can you please go on mute? Yeah, thank you. So this is version control system. So why we need this? Do I really need this particular kind of tool for me to store the code? Yes, obviously. Why? Because let's say for example, let me go in depth. Okay. Let's say for example, I'm writing some code. Okay, or let's say I'm opening some file in general scenario. When you open some file, you will modify some lines. Okay, and you will save the file and you will come out. Okay, is there a possibility that can someone detect and say that okay, this guy has opened this file and he has modified this particular line? Is that possible in normal general scenario? No, it is not at all possible, right? And I cannot know, like in that way so many people will open the file and they will do the modifications in their local system or in the remote system on a daily basis. So I cannot keep a track of like who did the changes, when they did the changes, because of that change what is why it is causing the issue. I cannot track this. Okay, so to avoid this kind of challenges, first of all I want to store the code in the centralized location. Okay, in the remote location. Okay, and while storing in the remote location, either I can use something like NFS server or something like that. Okay, to store my code in the remote server. Guys, can you please go on mute, everybody? Prabhakar, who is that? Prabhakar. Yeah. Okay. So this you can store the code in the remote locations by doing some SAP or rsync. You can do those kind of things actually. But though you are storing in the remote location, there is no tool for me to track the changes, which means that what changes I have done, when I did the changes, which line I've modified the code. I can never track it. So to overcome those kind of challenges, they have introduced a tool called version control system. Okay, so this version control system, what they will do, whether you push the code from local to the remote or directly if you modify from the remote, for every change you do, it will add a version. For every change you do, it will add a version by adding some timestamp. Okay, and the who did it and what message he has given when he is doing the modification, that is called as commit message, right? So with this details we have, we can understand like who did it, when did it, okay, at what line they have modified, everything we can get tracked. That is called as adding versioning to your code. Okay, that's what it does. Code in the sense each and every file and directory. Okay, so that's the reason it is called as version control system. Okay, in this we have two types of version control system. Okay, so one is centralized version control system. Okay, and one is distributed version control system. So
Yes.
centralized version control system in the sense, yes, Srikanth.
Sorry to interrupt you. Can you explain, means instead of explaining these individually, can you tell the overall course, what you cover and what are the tools we need to use and why we need to use each tool like that? That way we know overall picture.
So you already know this version control system and all.
I don't need, but we can learn that in between. But if you're telling version control system now, it makes no
See,
sense.
I'm not, yeah,
We
that's
need to
what.
know
See, here
entire.
I'm not covering this entire version control system in depth. It's only to understand that what is this Azure DevOps is providing you. Is it providing you a centralized version control system or a distributed version control system? That's what I'm explaining. I'm not
Yeah,
going
totally
to teach.
understand. I'm not saying
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
wrong, but overall we need to know because see, it's almost
If
11:40.
everybody is fine, yeah, if everybody is fine, I'm okay with it to go with it because it will save my time, right?
Yeah, Sudhir, actually, even I would like to know the overall the tools and
Okay then.
uh,
Done.
after the Azure DevOps course, how I will be handling the project. So in that sense, if you could explain and start with that and go on to other concepts later, it will be helpful in understanding.
Okay then, yeah. So better we go like that. Okay. So then I just want to say that here we are using Azure Repos. So how we are using GitLab, GitHub and all, right? Here we are using Azure Repos itself to store your code and use it in the pipeline for checkout, and running the pipeline. Okay, so now what we need to learn in this Azure DevOps is nothing but, before learning this Azure DevOps, I would recommend to learn some services in the Azure DevOps. So that's where we are teaching with the services called, let me explain, Azure AD. Okay, so this doesn't comes under Azure DevOps, but still we need to learn these services. Why? Because when you are trying to implement some project in our Azure DevOps of the part of the course, without telling this, I cannot directly say that I'm writing a pipeline and I'm executing it. That's how I teach actually. Okay, so first of all, we need to learn Azure AD. It's like Active Directory, where we have a centralized what do you say, authentication and authorization of our Azure. So we will be using Azure service itself, which is called as Azure Active Directory. And then authorization will be done with Azure roles and RBAC, which is nothing but, this will manage like Azure AD is for authentication, which means that by verifying the username, password, or token based authentication, we will log into the a particular service. We will authenticate to a particular service or to the portal. Now Azure roles and RBACs are nothing but, which is an authorization. Authorization in the sense, though you are able to log into an application through the token, or if you are able to log in with the password to the portal, it doesn't mean that you have full privileges to connect to each and every service. I need to control that. So that control will be done through Azure roles and Azure RBACs. Why we called like Azure roles and Azure RBACs? Because Azure RBAC terminology is called in your portal and your services which you use. Azure roles are called in Azure AD. In Azure Active Directory, it is called as roles. For your services, it is called as RBAC. Rollback Access Control it is. Okay, let me give this full name. It is called as Rollback Access Control. Rollback Access Control. Okay, so now you have to learn this. After learning this, so then we will be learning a bit basics of a Git, like what is a Git flow, like what is Git add, Git commit, okay, Git push, Git pull, Git checkout, and what is Git branch, tags. So all the things we need to learn, because some people might have come from the background of only storage, or some people might have come only from operations, or some people might have come only for development. Okay, so I need to cover all of them, the audience, the number of audience I have, and even one particular person doesn't know about Git, I need to start from there. Okay, with the tools which we are teaching with. Okay, so that will be boring for some people who are already in expertised in that particular area, but we have to bear with other people because I need to train them in that area as well. Okay, and then we need to know what is Azure Service Connection for services. It is nothing but, you have a DevOps, a separate portal, and we have for services, we have a separate portal. So your DevOps wants to communicate to a virtual machine which is running in that portal, right? So there has to be some authentication and authorization mechanism, right? So in DevOps, it is called as, in DevOps portal, it is called as service connection. Okay, so that service connection is nothing but, it looks here. Just I will show you. Where is that service connections? Just a second. Here, if you go there,
I saw it in previous training.
here it is. Okay,
Yeah.
you can see the service connections. So this helps you to authenticate with the third-party tools, and that will store the credential details over there. Okay, so you have to learn what is the service connection. It is so small topic but important for us as per DevOps portal. Okay, Git I already told you, and then we will be learning ARM templates, which is like an orchestration tool. Okay, so let's say every time I cannot go and manually create all the resources what I want, right? Sometimes I might forget some options which are really critical for my service what I'm creating. So to avoid these kind of challenges when you're creating some particular services in the portal, we want to follow some orchestration kind of thing. So what is orchestration? Orchestration means what you want to do, you'll be writing a file. That file can be a YAML file or a JSON file, okay? And you will be using that as an input to create your resources one by one. Okay, so that will simplify your job and it will reduce a lot of burden of remembering all the things what you need to follow. Okay, or else you need to follow the mob. Okay, and you need to execute step by step. Some person who is executing might have forgotten one particular option which is really critical for your application, so that will cause some mess up, right? So to avoid these kind of challenges, either you can use ARM templates or sometimes you can use Terraform as well, right? Infrastructure as a code tool. Okay, you might have heard about it. Okay, so we will be learning this Terraform as well. Why? Because it might add some advantages or weightage to your resume when you add this kind of tools. Actually, it is only for the, not for the namesake of adding that particular tool. Let us understand in depth of Terraform as well. Okay, that's one thing I just want to convey it. Okay, after that we need to learn virtual machines, which technically in cloud it is called as instances. Okay, if you look at AWS, it is called as instances. Okay, in most of the cases it is called as instances. Okay, okay, nothing but virtual machine. See how you create a virtual machine on your on premises, right? Similarly you are trying to create on cloud. Okay, because they are providing your infrastructure and you are trying to create a virtual machine. Either you will create a Linux based virtual machine or Windows based virtual machine as per your project requirement. So we need to know what are the steps we have to follow, how to create a virtual machine, how to connect to the virtual machine, and how to destroy when it is not needed. Okay, so these are the things which we have to learn. And another important thing in Azure is nothing but virtual network. Okay, so I do suggest, though it is not relevant to your DevOps, but try to learn what I'm teaching in VNet. That might help you in your career when you're moving your entire career into Azure. Okay, as a Azure administration or Azure DevOps. Okay, it will be really useful for you to learn these concepts. Okay, but
Sudhir,
some of these things, sorry.
when Sudhir, I have one question.
Yep.
I mean, you're explaining about the VNet. I have one question on that. In our environment, we are trying to move from physical premises to the Azure cloud. What sort of a network changes? I mean, they don't want to use
For
the
that, I think, yeah,
virtual.
Rajesh, I think for that I need to talk to you personally, because right away I cannot tell that you can use this solution, because we need to see your infrastructure on premises, right? So then I can give you some suggestions like how you can implement in VNet. So I do suggest, first of all, learn what is VNet and what are the options we have and what are the types we have, and then you can think yourself or you can take a suggestion from my end or everyone, and you can implement that into your migration. Okay,
Yeah, I mean, if you like to explain in detail when class
we can
starts, that will
discuss
be
on
very
that.
helpful.
Yes, I
Yeah,
can give
sure.
you some inputs on it. Okay,
Thank you.
yeah, no worries. So VNet, in the sense, you will have so many things: how to create a subnet, how to create a route, how to add a gateway, NAT or internet gateway or something like that, how to use a public IP, what is public IP and what is private IP. Okay, uh, okay, and then we have what is VPN. Okay, and then we have peering, and then we have gateways. There are so many things which we need to learn in VNet. According to your requirement, we need to understand which option we have to use and which one should be implemented according to your requirement. Okay, so in the VNet we have vast syllabus, like virtual network it is. In AWS it is called as VPC, right? Virtual private and virtual VPC, and then we have here it is called as VNet, virtual network. So we need to learn that. Okay, and we need to understand each and everything. So for that, I need to explain the basics of networking as well, right? What is subnet? What is CIDR? What is gateway? What is switch? What is router? Okay, what is class A, B, C, D, and E? Okay, how these are divided into classes? Who will take a decision of giving the IP address? Have you ever thought that from where we are getting this IP addresses? Who are giving it? Anyone? Even
Yes.
internet service providers are getting from somewhere. It's not internet service providers. Okay, even for, let's say, you are using some Geo or from Act Fiber or some Airtel, they are also getting from somewhere. Okay, who is that? So try to do some R&D. you will come to know about that. Okay. So then we need to learn Azure Web Apps, which is like a platform. No need to create a platform to run your applications, web applications. So directly they will provide you a platform for you, and directly you can deploy your code and you can run your applications. So that kind of service is called as Azure Web Apps. Okay. So here, if you don't use Azure Web Apps, if you want to run some application, you need to first create a virtual machine, and then you need to decide which kind of virtual machine you want to create, Linux or Windows, and then you need to install the packages, and then you need to install your application package, and then you need to run your application, right? Instead of doing that, I don't want to take that particular burden. I want a cloud should provide that solution for me. So that's how they are providing you a platform for you to run your applications. That is called as Azure Web Apps. Okay. And then we have Azure Container Registry. So if you have heard about Docker, we have images, right? Whether you learn about Kubernetes or whether you learn about containers in Azure, we will be learning it as well. So when you learn this, you will be hearing something like images. If in order to store that images, we need some particular registry. So that is, Azure itself is providing a platform to store the images, which is called as Azure Container Registry. Okay, for your Docker and Kubernetes images. Okay, so that is called as Azure Container Registry, which we will be using in our platform. Okay, why I'm talking about these kind of tools, because services, because we will be using in Azure DevOps to implement some particular project. Okay, so don't think that it is unnecessary. Somewhere we will be using it. Okay. And then we have Azure Container Apps. If you don't want to create your what do you say, container platform and all, I just want to create a containers to run my applications, then they are providing you a platform to run your containers. Okay, no need to manage an infrastructure. So that is called as container platform, which is provided by Azure, called as Azure Container Apps. Okay, and you can also use another service called Web Apps for containers. That also we can use it. And also we have Azure Container Instances, which means that you will be managing your virtual machine, and you will be installing some, you will be running your containers on top of it. That is called as Azure Container Instance. Then what is Azure Container Apps? You will not maintain any virtual machines. Directly you will run your, you will select some options, what should be the size of the container and all, and you will give your code. So automatically it will run the container, or you will give the image. Okay, automatically it will create a container for you. Azure will create for you, and your container will be in running state. Okay, so no need to worry from our end to maintain that particular infrastructure. Okay, that's a major difference. And then we will be learning Azure Kubernetes services. Okay, there will be other services as well. Azure Storage. Okay, so we will be learning Azure Storage as well, like blob storage. Okay, which is like a blob. Okay, and then we have queue. Okay, and then we have table. So there are so many other things, and we will be learning about Azure disk as well. Okay, these are important. Okay, and the most important thing which will add weightage to your resume is nothing but Azure Kubernetes service. Okay, you might have heard that everybody is migrating their applications from their on-premises or virtual machines to the Kubernetes services. Okay, that's all. So added that particular service in our course as well, so that that may help you in your resume. Today it might not be useful, but tomorrow when you are shifting internally in your project, saying that I know Azure Kubernetes service, then you might work in that particular project, right? So that will help you a lot. Okay, that is the only intention why we added this particular concept here. Okay, so these are the services, everything. Grafana we will not going to teach. We will be using the existing Azure monitoring and Prometheus for Kubernetes. Okay.
So you will be teaching on persistent volume claims, persistent volumes in Azure Disk, right?
Sorry, I didn't get you, Rajesh. Your voice is
So
breaking.
you will be teaching on persistence volume and persistent volume claims from the Azure disks for Kubernetes, right?
Of course, why not? That is
Okay.
important, right? Storage is important, PV, PVC, and storage class. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I hope you know about it, right? Storage class, the importance of PV and PVC in Kubernetes.
Yes. 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 Yes.
That's where we can discuss about it. So how either you can use disks, or you can use blob, or if you want to use queue, or if you want to use some table, whichever we want, we can take a decision over there. Okay. Yeah. So these are the services which you will be managing in this particular portal. Okay. Portal.azure.com. Okay. You can see Azure Active Directory, container registry here. Okay. So container registry, and then virtual machines. Okay. So many things here. Okay. All this compute related services will be managed in portal.azure.com. Okay. Ansible and all, guys, we cannot add it here. It's out of syllabus, and it is not that easy to train in 45 days. It is not at all possible. You can imagine we are adding these many services in the course. It takes a lot of time to explain each. See, it's not for the namesake. See, I don't know about others, but what I add the services over here, it should be in depth. If you should feel that I have learned only 10% or 20% in this, right? If you want that, I can add so many tools like this. Okay, I can integrate so many tools, but I don't want that headache, or from my side, I don't want to do that. Okay, or I don't want to bluff. Okay, if you are interested, you can. Okay, since I'm not teaching other tools, it's up to you to take a decision whether to join the course or not. But as for my, since I'm working on real time on some certain 5G networks and other projects as well, so I know which services to be added into the course. According to my knowledge, added these particular services. If you want more other services, it will be, yes, I can teach, that's not a problem, but it take longer time. So I cannot go beyond the time limit what management has given me, right? 45 days excluding Saturdays and Sundays. Sorry, including Saturdays and Sundays. Okay. Saturday, Sunday, we will not have any class. Only weekdays we will be having classes. Why? Because you need to get some time to practice, right, what we have discussed. And we will be creating some WhatsApp group. Okay, and you can chit chat over there, interact with multiple people, get some solutions, interact with me. Okay, ask for questions instead of waiting for the next day. We can discuss the problem in the chat itself by posting the screenshots. We can provide a solution over there itself, right? So that helps a lot. Okay, more you communicate, more you resolve. That's how it is. Okay, even I ask everyone, don't be dumb in the classes. Okay, that's a request from my end. If you have some question, whether it is silly question also, we should never bother. Why? Because you are paying, right? You should not feel shy in asking the questions. I've seen that in the previous batch actually, not asking any questions and saying that after the what is it, the topic was done. Why you feel shy, right? See, you are trying to learn here. You have to ask the questions. Okay, so that is a suggestion. If you people are joining the course, so try to ask the questions as much as possible. That is good for us and for others as well. Okay, so when you ask the question only, then I feel that you are learning something. Okay, so daily we will be giving some, not daily, or topic wise I will give you some tasks, so you need to complete it maybe on the weekend or whenever you get some leisure time. Okay, it's not that I will be teaching, I'll be giving some tasks as well. Okay, so you need to keep
Um,
these points in mind.
Sudhir, one question.
Yeah,
So, to my
is
case,
it
like,
relevant to this? Sorry to ask, is it relevant to this,
yeah,
or we can go at the back end? See, after the topics which I've done, right, at the QA session
mhm.
you can ask other questions
Oh,
actually. Okay,
okay, okay, fine. Then
yeah,
I can ask
sorry
that.
for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we will be teaching Azure monitoring as well. Okay, because we need to monitor our infrastructure, applications for security, and you need to monitor your infrastructure, networking, application related operations and all, everything you need to monitor. Okay, so monitoring is, and analytics are the important topics for your Azure as well. So you need to monitor your applications. How will you come to know that something is not working as per your expectations, right? So once you learn about this, then only you will understand what is happening for your applications and your infrastructure. Okay, that also we will be covering as a part of that. I kept it as a separate slide, so that's the reason which is not mentioned here. Okay, and then after learning this, thoroughly, then we will be going into Azure DevOps. Okay, in Azure DevOps, we have these many services that are provided. Azure Boards, and we have Azure Wiki as well. You can see this. If you see this, this is Azure Wiki. Let me go to this. You can create wiki pages as well. Okay. Okay. So this is not mentioned, but it is part of it. Okay. So if you see, I have a licensed one. Earlier I used a free account. After that I upgraded. This is a subscription which I used a pay as you go. You can see here. Means for whatever I have used, they will generate a billing for me. Okay, you can see there is no billing generated because the smart work which I do is nothing but I will practice and I will delete immediately. Tomorrow I can create it, right, if I want to practice again. So that's how I do it. You can also, no need to worry, just keep monitor on your card. Okay, and you need to keep eye on your services what you are trying to create it, practice it and delete it. Then you will not fall into a trouble of having more billing on this. Okay,
So the
so
portal
this
and
is,
dev is the same account.
sorry Srikant.
The portal and the dev also same account, right?
Yeah,
That's big.
same account, but there are two different dashboards. That's the only thing.
Okay, the different websites. Okay.
Yeah, how you will come to know? If you go to Azure Active Directory, right? This is where your user details will be there. Okay, with you, this user only, you can see the username here. He will be logging into this portal and this portal as well. Both will be using a same subscription. Okay,
Okay, so once free trial is ended, you have to go
you
with
have to
pay.
upgrade. If you
Okay,
don't upgrade, your account will be suspended. Okay, you can log in the portal, but you cannot create any service.
makes sense.
Right? Okay. You can see here, right? I have my own domain, sudhirdevops.com. I will explain each and every point over here. No need to worry too much about this. Okay, since we'll go in depth, right? You can see for previous batch we have created some pipelines. They are running it. Okay, so Docker pipelines and all, everything. Okay, so we'll be looking into it. No need to worry too much. Okay, in this we need to understand what is Azure Boards. Azure Boards, I think you may or may not come across in your projects. Why? Because this will be taken care by your leads. Leads in the sense you are Scrum Masters if you are working in a Scrum model, or in an Azure. If you are working in Azure model also, we need some boards to track your plan. Let's say I will explain in depth. Okay, in depth in the sense in the overview. Okay, don't get panicked again. So Azure Boards in the sense, let's say you got some project, right? When you got some project, how will you start your work? How will you interact with other teams working on different? So we need to have some particular, what is a story, saying that this is the story, we are working on this functionality, this is the priority, and these are the wiki page which we need to go through and develop the code. So that is a story which we are trying to create. It can be an issue, or it can be a user story, or it can be a bug, or it can be anything, right? So to create those kind of things, in general we use iTrack, Zira, these kind of tools, right? Okay. Now Azure itself is providing you a boards to create your plans, to create a plan, to track the plan, to discuss on the work across the teams. Let's say you're working on development side and there is other team which is working on testing side, and other team we have something like storage. So we have different couple of teams. Okay, so when you want to talk to them, you cannot explain each and everything, right? So that's the reason why you create some story. In that story you will explain what you're trying to do, and you will give that particular story number or a link to him, and he will watch and he will give you the suggestions. To have this communication, to have a plan on your project, everything we will do this. Okay, if you remember, there will be some terminologies like sprint in the sense, your leads will decide that in this sprint we need to develop this amount of functionalities and we need to release it, okay, to the clients. Okay, then that sprint is called as in general, a sprint is nothing but 2 weeks or 3 weeks, maximum 4 weeks, not more than that. Sprint in the sense, In that particular framework, you need to develop the code what we have planned. Okay, let's say we have planned that we need to develop these many functionalities. For each and every functionality, you will create a story, and that story will be assigned to the respective persons to start working on it. So you'll have some meetings and all. So your Scrum Master will open the dashboard and he will say that, okay, what happened to this? Where you are right now? Okay, what is the progress? Okay, do I need to get some help from anyone? Are you blocked with any block? Are there any blockers? Everything we will be discussing with the help of Azure Boards. Okay, so that is a purpose where Azure itself is providing you some iTrack kind of thing to plan the development of the project. Okay, is this point clear or any questions related to
Is
this?
it similar like Jira?
Yeah, same as it is, but they added some more functionality or they added some other features as well. Features will change, but the platform is the same. Okay. And then the next topic which we need to learn in Azure DevOps is repos. I told you orally as well, and I have told this Azure repository is something where it's a what do we call it? It's like a repository where you can store your code. Okay, how we use a Git. So similar to that, it is a Git repository where you can collaborate your code, you can pull your code, you can raise a pull request, or you can merge the branches. We can do a lot of other stuff in this Azure repos. Okay, so we have unlimited code hosted private Git repos, which means that you can create a number of repositories, that two private repositories. And one more thing that Azure is providing is, let's say you want to use Azure pipelines, but you don't want to store code in the Azure repos. Can I create a pipeline? Yes, you can. Okay, if you look at this, only one simple example. If you try to create a new repository, for example, where is that? New repository, not this one. Okay, let me show this. When you try to create a new pipeline, right? So you can see here, your pipeline can be created with the help of Azure Repos source code, or Bitbucket you can integrate, or GitHub, or GitHub Enterprise, or you can use any other Git repository, and you can also use Subversion. This is a centralized version control system, and these are distributed version control systems. Okay, either you can use this, or you can use this, or you can use classic editor. Okay, without using YAML format, you will be using a classic editor to create a pipeline. Okay, so we will see those three things as well. Okay, just to bring a notice. So we can do those kind of things. You can create a branches, you can create a tags, you can merge the branches by raising a pull request. There are so many things which you can do in the Azure repos. Okay, to store the repositories. So I'm not looking for any other tool to store my repositories. Okay, I'm directly using my Azure repos. Okay, and after that we will be learning about Azure pipelines. So Azure pipeline, in the sense, it is a CI/CD tool. Okay, CI/CD in the sense continuous integration and continuous deployment. Okay, so continuous integration in the sense your pipeline will watch Azure repos or any other repositories to look for the changes. Whenever you do some commit or whenever you do some push, automatically your pipeline will get triggered and it will take the code and you to do the build and testing. That is called as continuous integration. Okay, and what is CD? CD can be called as continuous delivery or continuous deployment. Continuous delivery in the sense your code is tested and it is made, it is ready, and it is ready for deploying in production. That is called as continuous delivery. Okay, continuous deployment in the sense you're directly deploying your code after testing has been done directly into your production servers or your staging servers or your QA environments or your development environments, something like that. Okay, so always your pipelines will keep eye on your repositories. Whenever you do some changes, it will run the flow and it will deploy the code. That is called a CI/CD tool, which is provided by Azure Pipelines. It is not that simple actually. We will have so many topics under that, like what is pipelines. Pipelines in the sense, earlier it is called as builds. Now they have renamed actually. Azure has renamed it. They are now calling it as pipelines. Pipelines in the sense it is CI pipeline. Okay, continuous integration. And then what is continuous delivery here? Release. Release is called as continuous deployment or continuous delivery. Environment in the sense you will try to integrate some particular servers here, and you will try to deploy your code on this particular servers. That is called as deployment. And then we have libraries, okay, and then we have task group, and we have deployment group as well. There are so many things which we need to learn in pipelines, okay. And in the pipelines also you need to learn what is this, okay. For example, let me show you. You need to understand, okay, each and every point, like how to write a pipeline. It is a YAML format. No need to learn any scripting language or any other new language right now. It is just a simple YAML syntax which you need to follow, okay. So this is, I need to explain all these parameters, each and every option what we are doing exactly, okay. So I'll be teaching that as well. What are variables, how to run it, okay, what are the other options you want, how to trigger this, what are settings. So we need to see each and every option here, okay. These many times I have run this particular pipeline. So last time it got passed, a recent one got failed actually. I know the reason, okay. So it is getting failed. So in this way, we will be running the pipelines. So when you work for a project, okay, I'll tell you what will be the scenario in the real time. So let's say you are a DevOps engineer right now. So you are working for a project which their client is saying that we have to use Azure DevOps. Okay. Now, okay, that you have some expertise on Azure DevOps. Okay. Now you joined the team, and you got some requirement saying that you need to automate the process. So first, what you need to think, what you need to gather the information from the developer, okay, because developer will execute some commands in order to test it locally, right? So you need to gather that information, and then you need to automate that using the pipelines, which means that tomorrow when the developer is pushing the code, when he tests it locally and it is working fine, and if it is not working here, we need to analyze, is it a platform issue or is it a code issue, okay. That is what we have to test it. That's the reason why we automate the process using pipelines, okay. So it has to work, it has to be reviewed, it has to be tested, again it should be reviewed. Once it is approved, then only it will go to the deployment, okay. So always remember, we need to learn the manual steps, then we can automate the process, okay. So we need to understand the flow, what they are using exactly in the local systems, or how they are testing it locally. Then we need to automate those particular process in the real time, okay. That's what we have to understand. It's not that, it is not a rocket science actually. The only thing is, like, you need to be more convenient in communicating with the people and gathering the information, okay. That will be the major challenge for any DevOps engineer, to collaborate with everybody, okay. That's a major task as a DevOps engineer, okay. It's not about finding the solution, it's all about gathering the information. That's what I believe, because I had some personal experience. So that's the reason I'm saying, okay. Once you know that what is need to be done, you need to look for the options and just you need to implement that, okay. So that's a major challenge we have, okay. So do remember this point. It might be helpful when you're working on the certain things. Yep.
So, Sudhir, before running the pipeline,
Yep.
if there is any issue, we need to understand whether the issue is coming from the infrastructure, or it is coming from the network, or it is coming from the code. So, do you suggest us in few troubleshooting steps while you perform
Obviously.
in the
Obviously we have to troubleshoot, right? See, by looking at the pipeline output, right, let's say for example, this is what I have. Now this has got failed, okay. Now if you go to the builds, you will see the logs over here. Here it is passed, here it is passed, creating an environment, checking out the code, okay. Now here it got failed. So when I scroll up, let's say you are on the top, okay, this is nothing but, I will tell you, it is building the image and pushing the image to my repository, okay. So that got failed actually. You can see here, build and push an image to container registry. This is the task right now, okay. Now here it got failed somewhere. For example, let's say I'm searching for it, okay. Now I came to know that it got failed here. It is saying that it is not able to push. Here is the command which got failed to push the what do you say, the image to my repository. Now we need to identify what is the problem, okay. So I need to see what is the challenge. It is telling that it is not able to communicate to the host, okay. What I will do now, I will go to the repository and I will see whether the repository is really there or if someone has removed it. Okay, what happened to it? Or you will test it from locally whether you are able to communicate or not. Those are the troubleshootings which we do. Okay, this is the console output which you get when you're running your pipeline, and you can view the raw output as well, and you need to find out what went wrong, and you need to discuss with the developer, are you facing the same challenges? Okay, if not, okay, is there any issue with the platform that there is one dependency missing or there is some dependency package mismatch? That you need to gather and you need to understand, and then we need to fix it. If it is a code related issue, developer will fix it. If it is a platform related issue, we need to identify a proper platform to run this particular code. Okay, this is what we have to do as a DevOps engineer. Not only building the pipelines, if when something fails, we need to be in a position to identify the issue where it got failed. Okay, once you have built the pipeline, you will come to know from where it is failing and you will understand why it is failing actually. Okay, it all comes out from experience. When you start learning and when you start experiencing the challenges, then you will learn more things over there. Okay, it's not in one day you will get everything, in one night you will get whole this understanding the pipelines. No, I will never promise that. Okay, every day in the daily life you will face the challenges, you have to overcome that. Whenever you run some pipeline, right, the challenges will be in a different way. Okay, sometimes there might be a silly mistake, some unnecessary parameter is added or something is mismatched. Okay, there you are using one repository. Let's say here the problem is, I will tell you, I am trying to push to this repository actually, but this repository is not there. That's the reason it got failed. Okay, here I'm using one repository. I'll tell you, I'll show you that actually. I'll show you the pipeline. If I try to edit, right, just only 2 minutes just to explain this. Okay, here you can see I'm using some container registry actually, image registry. You can see here, if you saw, where is that image registry? Okay, I'm looking for something which is not exist here. Registries itself are not there in Azure Container Registry. So how it will store the image over here? That's the reason it got failed. Okay, so these are the things which you need to understand and troubleshoot. Okay, we will learn one by one, right? No need to worry too much on this. Okay, yeah. So we are good to go, or any questions?
Quick thing, Sudhir.
Yeah.
Before we move to the next one, this Azure pipeline, what we are talking about, CI/CD,
Yeah. Yeah.
are we going to use any external tool like Jenkins, or it is going to be a dedicated session for Azure pipelines itself?
It's only dedicated session for Azure pipelines. Why? Because when you are using CI/CD pipeline for this, you are not integrating any third-party tool for CI/CD operations. Okay.
Okay, so what I am interested in, that if in case we are using any of the third-party tool for CI/CD
Yes,
pipelines,
it can be
and we would
integrated.
like to integrate it through Azure or whatever it may be, AWS, or so how that integration actually works is something I was interested to know about.
Yes, it can be integrated. Okay, I cannot say that it cannot be integrated. Yes, you can integrate your Jenkins CI/CD to your Azure DevOps as well. Okay.
Okay, but we will not cover this in this.
No, no.
Okay.
Because there are so many things actually beyond this.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can answer you can understand the concern, right? That's
I
how it
know.
is. Okay.
Yeah.
But if you want some inputs, if you have this kind of scenarios or requirement in your project, please let me know. I am ready to give solutions. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Yeah. Anytime, like how Rakesh has asked, right? Similar to that. Sorry, Rajesh. So similar to you. Like, see, anytime when you are joining the course, right? In the WhatsApp group, say that, so like, can you give me suggestions on this particular challenge? Every time we can discuss. We can come to a call or we can discuss on the WhatsApp group. It's not about only a boundary related to Azure DevOps, right? It's beyond that. Okay. Yeah. So after Azure pipelines, right, then we need to understand test plans. Well, this is all about, it is a testing toolkit actually. Let's say you have some manual steps and you want to automate that particular process by executing it, then we can use this particular test plans in the Azure DevOps portal to execute it. Okay, so it is a testing toolkit which lets you to test your code and make it ready. Okay, if you have some code and if you want to test it, then we can use this Azure test plans. This is the simple sentence which I can tell you right now, but we can go in depth when we come across this. Okay. For right now, assume that this testing plans are nothing but you will have some code and you will be allowing that particular code to be tested. Okay. And for that, this particular service is provided. And then we have Azure Artifacts. Artifacts, you know, right? It is kind of hosting the packages, or if you want to store some images, or if I want to push some YAML files, or if I want to push some tar-zip files, I want to store this kind of things in some particular location. So that is called as Azure Artifacts. So why we need to use Azure Artifacts? Because I will tell you. Here comes the picture. So let's say when you are using this particular DevOps pipelines, right? Here, let's say you are using some Java application. You have written the source code. Okay. Here I have created a CI pipeline. What this particular pipeline will do, it will build the code. Means before that it will test the code, and after that it will build the code, and then it will run some security scans on my jar file which is generated, or a var file which is generated. Now, where you will store this var file? Tomorrow I want to deploy that particular var file which is generated into my environment. For that I am using a release pipeline. Okay, release. So how my release can take a var file which is present in a CI pipeline? So your pipeline will store that var file into a artifacts, and from that artifacts your release will use it and it will deploy into your environment. Okay. So this is how it will be helpful for you for interacting with your CI and CD to store the code. Okay, that's how it will be. Okay, so this is all about your Azure DevOps, what we will be discussing. So we will be implementing so many things by combining their, so we will be using Visual Studio Code to write our pipelines or to store our code and everything. I will be providing documentation for each and every step what we follow. Okay, everything will be done from scratch. It's not that we will be starting from high level. Everything will be done from the scratch, and that we will be documented as well. Okay, so the documentation looks like this. It is under development, means I'm keep on adding the details and all, and this will be pushed into your GitHub. Okay, so it is a public repository. You can download this particular document from there. Okay, once we start the course, then we can give you the access to it and you can download. Okay, even if you have some solutions to the documentation or something, you can fork it and you can give the pull request or merge request. I can verify it and I can merge to my branch. Okay, so that everybody can see the changes. You can also contribute like that. It's not a code contribution but a documentation. Okay, yeah. So these are the things which we will be discussing. I have created a snapshot individually in this PPT, but since I have shown it practically, I think no need to discuss about each and every slide over here. Okay, so this is what it is. When you write a pipeline, we need to understand in the YAML file what is trigger, what is in the pipeline, what are the stages, in the stages what are jobs, in the jobs what are the tasks or steps. So we need to understand them. So these are the major things which we will be discussing in YAML jobs. Okay, the YAML file which we are writing, right, when creating a pipeline, these are the things which we will have: pipelines, stages and steps. Okay, under the steps we will have scripts and tasks to execute your actual code. Okay, so it is not too much complex to understand. It is so simple actually. Only thing is, like, we need to understand the requirement and understand the solution, and we need to think about what solution is needed for that particular requirement. That is the only challenge we will have when you're working on DevOps. I believe that. If you are not agreeing, you can just discuss with me. Okay, I feel that this is the only challenge. Understanding the requirement and finding the solution is the actual responsibility of the DevOps engineer. Okay, that's what I believe. So this is all about our entire syllabus and the course. It will be of 45 days and including Saturdays and Sundays. Okay, include Saturdays, Sundays in the sense, including Saturdays, Sundays, 45 days it is. It's not about class. So daily 1 hour, timing and all you can discuss with the management, course, core fee and all you can talk to them. Any technical discussions, you can talk to me. Okay. If you have any questions, please ask me right away. Okay.
Yeah, actually, for this, any basic stuff is required for DevOps perspective. It's you said nothing is required. Everything you will teach, like any scripting or any code level. For
Any operating
understand
system, any operating system you need to have. Okay. Let's say you have some
any
expertise in
operating.
Linux or Windows.
No, no, I am not having.
Okay. So then you need to brush up and you need to start with any operating. You are from which background? Just to ask.
Computers background only, but I've learned C, Java, but that also I forgot long back, 2 years back I learned, but that also I forgot. That's why.
So you're Windows platform based, right? So you know some expertise, Windows Server or just
No, no, no. I don't have any Windows means I don't know. You are saying basic C program I am able to write. Java also I don't know. That basic
okay.
C.
First of all, let me ask you
Like
one question. To which platform you want to move your career? Or to Linux operating system or Windows operating system? That's the first thing you have to take a decision. See, blindly we cannot take a call. Okay, since you are not aware of this any operating system, take a call. Either you want to go with Linux operating system or Windows operating system. These two are two different things. Okay, then
actually
you need
yes,
to
yes.
choose.
Actually now yeah. Azure DevOps is demand course. That's why I don't know about
It's not about
to.
demand or it's not about getting an opportunity. After getting opportunity also, if you don't know about operating system, right? Seriously, I will tell you, it will be too hard to guide
Okay, you
you or
are not
support you.
covering that areas and all. You are not covering that areas. Whatever you said.
I cannot teach operating system right now. Linux operating system administration or Windows operating system administration, it's not at all possible in this actually.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, yeah. Before learning DevOps, what and all need could you please tell? I will learn those. After that, I will join next batch. Or
Okay, whatever it is, you can talk to the management. I will give you the links to them. Okay, you can take from them.
okay,
Okay,
okay.
your name is
Yeah, yeah.
Gopal, right?
Thank you.
Your name is Gopal, or only the display name is here is Gopal? What is your original name? Hello,
Sudhir, are you asking me? Because I'm yet to
Gopal.
ask. I'm yet
Who
to ask
speaks
him.
right now? Sorry, someone speaks, right? I saw your name, so that's the reason.
No, no,
Yeah,
I was just unmute myself to ask
Yeah,
a
yeah.
question.
I am Alexander. Yeah, yes, yes.
Alexander. So talk to the management. Okay, I will give the links maybe by
Okay,
the
okay,
EOD. Tomorrow you can call them and you can get the links from them. Okay.
okay, okay. Sure, sure, sure.
I will mention
Thank you.
that Alexander will contact you. So give these links. I will tell them so that they will forward you some email or some links. Okay.
Okay, but I need to get all the things, and after that, I need to start
Because you
learn
need to learn.
DevOps,
See,
right?
I cannot see as a trainer. I cannot say that blindly join the course. Okay. If you don't know this,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
will
That's
be a
right. That's
challenge for you, and you will face a trouble. It's not about joining the course and getting it done. It's all about your comfort. Okay. If you don't know this operating system, right, it will be really a challenge for you. Okay. When you join some particular project, no one will guide you actually. Okay.
yes, yes.
Seriously,
Yeah, yeah. Yes, yes.
nowadays people
Yeah,
are
yeah. That's
not
why.
in a
That's why I
position to help
asked.
also. Okay. No problem. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
are you
thank you.
going to
Yeah,
cover
Gopal.
uh, Edge 104 and 400, or only we are concentrating on 400?
AZ 104 and 400 both. Okay.
Okay. So this is Gopal. So I don't have any background about ideally DevOps tools or the Azure, frankly. So I'm expecting a project to be assigned, and my area and what I heard is like while the migration probably a DevOps tools like a Git and Jenkins and some kind of Ansible and Maven. I don't know
Mhm.
about that. I just heard those terms. So they will be used part of your some kind of a legacy migration that will be to an Azure platform. So
Okay.
that is the only thing that I aware where I'm going to work. So how this course will help me without having information of those DevOps tools followed by these Azure. So will this really helpful to me, or do I need to get into something else before coming over here?
Here there are two challenges actually. See, understanding
Okay.
about the DevOps is something like you need to understand about the tools. See, I told you right, Jenkins is one of the CI/CD tool. Now, instead of using Jenkins, now you can use Azure pipelines, right? So now you need to find out how the Jenkins job they have written to execute the task. In that way, you have to implement that in the Azure DevOps. That's a challenge which you will face. That's how the migration will happen. And your entire source code which is present in Git, now you need to migrate it to let's say GitHub, sorry, Azure Repos, or you can directly integrate that particular GitHub, or which one they are using actually,
No, actually it
GitHub
is.
or
It is. I'm not sure anything. It is like a kind of a .NET code or something. Okay, I don't even know
.NET
exactly.
code.
It is.
Okay,
Yeah. So the
see,
understanding is the code needs to be migrated to an Azure platform, and that will be some of the DevOps tools will be used, and Azure will be the platform where the eventually
pipelines will
entire
be built.
so I don't know like what will be used. Probably I don't know whether they have it info ready, or it's only kind of an analysis stuff. But to learn from my side, so I jumped in over here whether I will get an understanding of both DevOps
See, first
plus
of all, you need to understand what are there and what are the do's and don'ts in Azure DevOps. Okay, once you have
Okay.
some good amount of grip on that particular Azure DevOps, right? When someone is saying that I have this requirement, you can guide them whether we can migrate that particular code into this particular area, or we can implement those kind of challenges here or not. Once you know about Azure DevOps only, you can do that. Okay, migration in the sense, whatever they have already implemented, they will ask you whether we can implement this or not. Okay, so if you don't know Azure DevOps, it is impossible for you to explain them, right? So
Yeah.
my suggestion is first learn Azure DevOps in depth. Okay, back and forth, everything, each and every option you have, implementations, anything, whatever you get into your mind in the real time as well, whatever we say, everything, just learn it thoroughly. And once you get into the implementation side, right, of migration or something, then you will
Okay.
see like what kind of solution you can provide them in Azure platform. Okay, if you don't know
Okay.
about this, it is challenge for you to migration in the sense they have already implemented it. They don't ask you to implement on their on premises. They will ask you, this is the implementation we have done. What is the solution in the Azure DevOps or Azure platform? Then you need to
Yeah.
provide a solution for that. And then you need to implement. Okay. And then you need to gather the necessary information from them. This is your responsibility in this, what I understood.
Okay.
So
So
up
how
to
about
what
like without
up,
having understanding of this Git Jenkins, will this helpful to me?
That's what.
If I join
See, it's
immediately.
not about effort from my side, right? You need to
Yeah.
learn from your side as well. Let's say if I say some
Okay.
Git commands, you need to be thorough and you have to practice it and all. That's what I'm saying. That's the reason why this is included, right? Without telling Git, I cannot tell you what is Azure Repos. If you don't know the
Yeah,
Git commands,
because I saw only Git. I don't know about they were saying some Ansible, Maven, because I remember those keywords. So that is the
yeah, I see
uh,
Ansible and all I cannot teach, but it is an automation kind of tools. Okay, we call it that as deployment. Okay, deployment tools actually. Okay, some people will call it as infrastructure as a code tool. Some people will call it as continuous deployment tools actually. Whatever it
no.
is, they are using again that particular Ansible will be using some module to execute some particular task. Now, instead of doing that through Ansible, now you need to find out some solution over there. Either using Azure template, Azure ARM template, or you have to find the Terraform to create infrastructure. Okay, so ARM templates and Terraform is something where if you want to create your infrastructure in Azure platform, instead of doing it manually, you will be doing through these particular tools. That is called as infrastructure management tools. Okay.
Okay, sure. Thank
So
are
my
you going
suggestion
to
is
discuss?
don't get panic with your what do you say challenges that you get in. First, learn any one of the tools. See, now you don't have anything, right? You have to
you. Yeah.
learn Azure DevOps because you want to move your career to there. Learn Azure DevOps first. Don't worry about whether I can implement a solution or not. Once you be thorough on that particular topic, right, you can find any kind of solutions. Anyway, we will discuss so many solutions over here. I cannot say that you will go beyond this actually. Okay.
Yes, sure. Because when I see this your PPT, without understanding or without knowledge of those tools, will I be able to, capture or
That's the reason
get
why,
a
right? We have implemented this
yeah.
particular course as well. So saying that you have to understand this VNet, virtual machines, ARM templates, Git, service connection, Azure AD. Actually, Azure AD is a separate syllabus actually, separate course for 30 days. But why I have added into this? Because I just want to tell you what is authentication and authorization that we can do with Azure AD. That's my way of teaching actually. Okay.
Sure, got it. Thank you.
So are you going to
This
discuss
includes the real time.
any use cases or case studies?
Use case, yeah, we will be implementing the real-time scenarios, okay, of image builds, deploying the applications on the Kubernetes cluster, or building the application whether it is a .NET code or Node.js code. Okay, how will you build? How will you test your code? How will you scan your images for vulnerabilities or not? Now you can see, right? You are hearing a lot about log4j vulnerabilities and all. Okay, so how will you implement a tool, or how will you use a tool as a part of your pipeline to validate your code? Okay,
Do you
so
have
these are the
any proven case studies, like some kind of a migration? Suppose a customer has been came
no
with
one can
their
provide you
on-prem.
that.
Sorry,
I cannot provide you because it will not be exposed outside, right? How come?
no, we can remove the customer name. We can show the
No,
architecture diagram how it has been framed.
we can't see
I'm
nowadays. It's about connection, right? VPN connections. They will not allow you any remote access and all. Okay, it's highly impossible.
no, I can able to do it because I've been in the design for a couple of the case studies. I've been put over there. If you
It
remove the
depends, right? It
customer name,
depends upon the organization to organization. I cannot pull that, but I can implement. We can replicate that. Okay,
mhm. But do you have
but
any
we
some
cannot
kind of
create
case
as it
studies?
is. Yes, we can. We have it.
I am keenly concentrated on, because I'm an architect. Currently, I'm rolling cloud and infra architect, and I was the project manager. Okay,
Okay.
so I just came to brush up my skills here. So I need some kind of a case studies which I need to be, uh, you know, to
So the
provide the
case
solution
studies
to the
will comes
customer.
under when we discuss about these pipelines. Okay, so let's say this is your requirement. This is your project requirement. So how will you start with from scratch? So writing the pipeline, planning it, right, creating a solution, implementing the pipeline, and deploying it to your target environments. So that's how you have to plan it, right?
Correct, correct. So
Yeah. So this is what we will be
initially,
discussing.
the initially assessment has need to be done. What are the tools and then all that? Based on
Obviously,
that, we can design.
every time we have to think about what is the best tool. It's not about we have multiple tools, right? We need to pick the right tool for our requirement. That's a
Yeah,
challenging one.
good. So you will going to cover at least one or two case studies, right?
Yes, yes. One or two. One is for Kubernetes and one is for Docker, and one is for .NET. Okay.
So does it really require a PowerShell knowledge to know this stuff?
No,
Is it
yeah.
mandatory?
PowerShell is not needed. No. If you want to move your career into PowerShell automation or something, then you can. But I feel it's not because I'm Linux administration, so I never go with PowerShell.
Okay.
Sudhir, I'm basically an infrastructure guy, and I just moved to the Azure DevOps. And my project, they are giving like tons of codes of Terraform and YAML scripts. I'm able to understand the YAML, but I'm not able to understand the Terraform. Where what is the variable, what is the main idea of
Can
these
you do
kind of
one
things.
thing?
Where yeah.
Yeah, I will do one thing. You take this documentation, okay? I've clearly written a documentation of Terraform. Everybody can understand, okay? Let me give you that. It might help you in your career. Everybody, since you guys are there here, right? See, always I maintain my repository. Okay, always I push it to here. You can see Terraform Cloud GitHub Actions. We have EKS cluster through Terraform. Okay, I have so many things like that. Let me give you the Terraform deep dive course which we have teach in recent deep dive. Here, this is the syllabus. Okay, what is there? Okay, what I'm teaching here. Okay, this is in the main branch. If you shift to the master branch, then you'll get the actual course content here. Okay, just read this. This is more than enough. Okay. So if
Yeah,
you want to create a Terraform, what is variables? Now you're talking about variables, right? Let's say go to this variable section. Here I have written what is input variable, a local variable. Okay. And the examples I have written here. In the input variables, you can see there are totally 9 topics over here. Okay. And I've clearly written over here. If you go to the input variables, I've written some example here and a readme note how to execute it. Okay. I hope this is enough for you. You can study on your own, right?
yeah. I mean, I can study it, but understanding the code is. I mean, I'm able to understand it, but I'm not able to write anything. I mean, append the code to
I can
deploy to
understand. I can
the.
understand.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
go through this. It's free of cost. Okay, you can just spend your time. The only thing is like you need to spend your time, take some leisure. Let's say your working hours are 9 hours. Spend some 2 hours on your apart from your project. Spend on learning this. Okay, so then you will learn quickly and it will be helpful for you as well. Okay, in this I have clearly written how to do a setup, how to configure Terraform, what is workflow, Terraform blocks, Terraform arguments, attributes, meta arguments. Okay, everything is written here. Okay, first you read this. Apart from this, if you need any inputs, just ping me in the group and then I can respond to the questions. Okay,
Sure,
take this,
sure.
guys. So if you go to the master main branch, you will see the syllabus. If you go to the master branch, you will see the content. Okay, so I'm giving in the chat room here. Keep it with you guys. Okay, you can fork it or you can clone it. It's up to you. Okay, so many people have forked it and they will give me a suggestions, and if I say that okay, I will get a pull request. So based on that I will see the pull request and I will merge it. Okay, so that's how I do. Okay, so that's all for today. Thanks for everyone for joining and being patient. Sorry for the initial trouble we had.
Yeah, Sudhir. Sudhir.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Sudhir. Sorry, one more last question. Just notice. Yeah. Actually, I discussed with you, right? You said the Linux operating system. I discussed
Yes,
with my cousin. He said some commands need to for Linux or some basic commands 10 to 20. Is it fine to? Is it
that's
basic
what it is. See,
commands? He
Linux is
said
all. See,
10 to
Linux is
20
all
commands
about.
for Linux.
Yeah, just a second. Linux is not all about GUI. Okay, in production servers or if you see an outside, you have to execute some commands. Okay, so in the Linux operating system,
Okay.
I don't say that learn only commands. For right now, to initially start with, commands are enough. Understanding the operating system, how to install the packages, how to remove the packages, what is package, what is repository, these things also we need to understand. How to assign an IP address to your operating system, these things also we need to learn. Okay, so I will give you the links. Start with that particular documentation and let me know if you have any challenges. Okay, don't call me personally by asking
Okay, sure.
management to arrange a conference call. Once you join the course or somewhere, we can add the WhatsApp group and then we can discuss. Okay,
Yeah, sure, Sudhir. Yeah,
put some
thank you so
effort.
much.
That is the only thing which we need from your side is put more efforts. See, let's say a person who already knows about Linux will put some 10% or 20% effort. You have to put from 60 or 70% of effort. Okay, on this.
Okay.
Hi.
And one more thing, are you able to share course content for the DevOps, this one?
I think it is shared with the management has already shared with you guys, right?
No.
Okay, let me ask them. Okay, thanks for bringing the
Okay.
notice.
Yeah.
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 I did ask you a question. I said, do you
Yes.
have to be good in programming to be good in DevOps?
No, I say, but understanding the, let's say there is a Node.js application, right? For you, it is not needed to know about Node.js, writing the code and all. You need to know when the code was written, what are the steps they will follow in order to build the application. These things we have to know. Hope you understood that point. That we will be automating in the pipeline.
Okay.
Got the point? What I said? Is that clear?
I understand. You don't have to be a programmer. You just have to know the steps that the code is supposed to
Yes.
take.
Obviously. Obviously.
Okay. And be able to read the code.
Yes, not read the code. but you have to give a justification whether it is related to the code or related to the platform. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. See, sometimes it could be a challenging, right? One particular package is installed with a lower version, and that is causing the program to get failed in your system, in your pipeline. So we need to give a justification for that. Okay, that's how we need to put some effort. That's the only thing we have. Okay. Thank you guys. Thanks for everyone for joining. Sorry for the initial trouble what we had for delaying the session. Okay. Thanks for your patience. Thank you everyone. We'll meet in few days.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.